Thank you to everyone for being with us today. I'm delighted that this is the second Capital Invest in Cyprus Forum. I'm delighted to see the great response we have today. This event was started 2 years ago with the initiative of the Cyprus Shipowners Union, and we're delighted to have with us also the active cooperation of the Cyprus Investment Promotion Agency. So I would like to thank everybody for making this event a success. I'd like to thank the Rent Bank for being the lead sponsor of the event. I would like to thank Deloitte and EY. I'd like to make a special mention here. Both Deloitte and EY are very well-known firms competing in the marketplace, but they came to support this forum because Cyprus comes first before any corporate name. And I'd like to applaud them for that. I'd like to thank the other sponsors, Columbia Ship Management, Eurobank, Safe Bulkers, Sherman and Sterling, the American Cyprus Chamber of Commerce, Float and Company, Offer Roy, and Mr. Rapidis. And of course, I'd like to thank our lunch sponsor, Mana Products. Nick Muller is I'd like to thank you very much for supporting this event for 2 years in a row. Ladies and gentlemen, I will not take any more time. I would like to say a big thank you. We're trying to organize this event every year to keep the momentum of raising the profile of Cyprus as a business and investment destination to a wider audience. We're delighted to see the responses we have gotten. And without any further ado, I would kindly ask Mr. Andreas, the President of the Shipowners Union, to introduce the President. We're delighted to have the President with us today. We have the Ministers of Finance, the Minister of Energy, the Deputy Minister of Shipping, and of course, we would like to welcome Mr. Matthew Palmer into his new role of being Executive Assistant Secretary of the U.S. Department of State responsible for Cyprus and the Mediterranean, Southeastern Europe. So, Mr. Hadjiyiannis, thank you for holding this role. Thank you to everybody.
Your Excellency, dear Ministers, Ambassadors, dignitaries, and friends. As the President of the Cyprus Union of Shipowners, it is my unique privilege for a second year in a row to welcome and introduce the President of the Republic of Cyprus, Mr. Nicos Anastasiades, addressing his high-level business forum. And I would like to welcome Mr. Matthew Palmer, the Deputy Assistant Secretary of the U.S. State Department, into his new role. 2 years ago, at the initiative of the Cyprus Union of Shipowners, we teamed with Capital Link to organize a high-level forum that promotes Cyprus as a business and investment destination. This year's forum is also organized in cooperation with the Cyprus Investment Promotion Agency. I would like to express our appreciation to Nicos and Capital Link for his commitment to organize this high-profile, high-prestige, high-level event. The forum aims to highlight the increasing role of Cyprus as a regional finance, energy, shipping and logistics hub. We aim to attract more business and investment to Cyprus, and the repetition of this forum on a regular basis provides a regular high-level update to American investors. The Cyprus Union of Shipowners is committed to promote Cyprus as a shipping and ship management hub. We support and promote the Cyprus flag as a quality flag, and we are gratified to see the expansion of the fleet under Cypriot flag. At the same time, we implement initiatives such as this forum that raises awareness of Cyprus to a larger investor audience and help keep the investor attention and momentum. President Anastasiades has done a remarkable job putting Cyprus back on the map for investors. Under his leadership, we are confident that better days are ahead. It is my pleasure and privilege to invite him to the podium to deliver his keynote remarks. Mr. President, the floor is yours.
Distinguished friends, ladies and gentlemen, it is indeed an honor and pleasure to address such a distinguished audience, marking the conclusion of this high-caliber forum. From the outset, I'd like to express my appreciation to Capital Link, the Cyprus Union of Shipowners, and the Cyprus Investment Promotion Agency for the successful organization of today's event, which takes place for a second consecutive year, as well as the numerous sponsors for their invaluable support. Above all, I wish to thank all of you for your presence and your endless efforts to further facilitate and encourage the businesses and investment partnership between Cyprus and the United States, and for supporting our vision to establishing Cyprus as a modern and competitive business hub, catering to the needs of any investor. I have no doubt that during the productive presentations and discussions which took place earlier on, either with the competent ministers, you have been thoroughly informed about the interesting and promising investments and business opportunities Cyprus has to offer, particularly in key areas such as banking and financial services, shipping and transportation, energy and tourism. At the same time, I also have no doubt that during the various networking events which took place, the business communities of our two countries exchanged a number of innovative ideas for advancing entrepreneurial initiatives and identified new practical ways for developing joint ventures. On behalf of the government of Cyprus, I wish to assure and stress that we remain fully committed in facilitating business and investment collaborations between our two countries in order to further widen and deepen our cooperation in all envisioned fields and increase the inflow of direct investments from the US to Cyprus. This is most evident by my presence today, the high-level representation at the ministerial level, and the impressive participation of esteemed representatives of the Cyprus business community. Distinguished friends, during the second term in office, one of my main priorities is to continue exercising our own foreign policy to further enhance our relations and cooperation with the United States. To this end, I'm pleased to assess that our partnership has evolved into one of a strategic depth, particularly when dealing with issues of global concern, both bilaterally and multilaterally, via our joint commitment, among others, in the fight against terrorism, illegal drugs, proliferation of weapons of mass destruction, and development of nuclear weapons. In this respect, I avail myself of this opportunity to yet again express the determination of my government to work closely with the new US administration in order to explore new fields of beneficial partnership, as well as deepen and enhancing existing ones to the mutual benefit of our countries and peoples. Towards this goal, we are vigorously working on building more tangible economic and investment relations. During these past years, we have seen significant US investments in Cyprus, with the most recent one being to Hellenic Bank, one of the country's biggest banking institution, and our aim is to facilitate even more. Talking about the local banking system and taking this opportunity, I wish, ladies and gentlemen, to raise an issue on which I have a very, very strong view. Despite any unfounded rumors, Cypriot financial institutions have been very diligent in advancing their corporate governance policies and have vigorously stepped up the efforts to combat money laundering phenomena. They have been implementing strict procedures for checking and applying loan applications, as well as going through thorough and stringent controls over any suspicious accounts. Regulating authorities have been applying stricter rules in their attempt to eliminate unlawful actions, and in fact Cyprus' score was significantly improved in 2017 corruption perception index issued by Transparency International. What is most important, Cypriot banks are now operating on healthier foundations in terms of capitalization, liquidity and profitability, even though constant work is still needed to address remaining challenges as the level of the non-performing loans. At the same time, being fully aware of the strict regulatory framework of the United States and the need for transparency and accountability in all investment and business transactions, it should also be stressed that our two countries are already implementing the Intergovernmental Foreign Account Tax Compliance Act. In parallel, a bilateral United States-Cyprus dialogue is in progress in order to address many issues of economic cooperation, particularly as regards US investments in Cyprus. As such, American investors can rest assured that the Republic of Cyprus provides investment security and protection in full compliance with European and international standards. Further, Cyprus' comparative advantage, which have established our country as a major center for international businesses, not only remain intact, but have been further reinforced, leading to a number of new and substantial investments in the fields of banking, energy, shipping, telecommunications, real estate and tourism, marinas, and the largest integrated casino resort in Europe under construction. These advantages, amongst others, include the combination of EU membership, the use of the Anglo-Saxon legal system framework, an attractive corporate tax of 12.5%, highly skilled and professional workforce, modern infrastructures, and a unique geographical location which provides easy access not only to European markets, but also to those of North Africa, the Near and Middle East, the Gulf region, and Asia. Ladies and gentlemen, during the morning sessions of the forum, you have thoroughly informed from the competent ministers about the impressive recovery of Cyprus' economy and the ways and means through which this was achieved. A recovery which was the result of the prudent management of public finances, the adoption of measures which facilitate economic and investment opportunities, such as providing corporate tax incentives, reducing the time framework for issuing planning permissions, broadening the range of permitted land development for large projects, increasing building provisions, and facilitating joint tourist developments. Third, pursuing significant structural reforms, among others, as regards the pension, welfare, and labor market system, and the public and tax administration. Four, recapitalizing the banking system. The positive repercussions, dear friends, of the above-mentioned are being reflected through, among others, successive budget surpluses, a dynamic growth of 4%, a drastic fall of unemployment, as well as a significant reduction in tax charges in an array of areas. What is of equal significance and to particular importance to any interested investor is the fact just 2 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, Cyprus, following successive upgrades of its economy by international rating agency, is now rated to the investment grade after being in the junk category 7 years ago. This demonstrates the positive economic outlook of Cyprus, enhances the trust of existing investors, and at the same time sends a strong message to new investors to explore the significant potential of our country. For example, the investment funds industry has been expanding at a very encouraging pace, with funds registration increasing by 18% per annum since 2014, while the newly established Deputy Ministry of Shipping offers substantial support to the increasingly growing maritime sector of Cyprus. At the same time, I have no doubt that the Deputy Ministry of Tourism planned to be operational by January 1st of 2019 will enhance even further the growing tourist industry and provide new promising investment opportunities. Other promising potential exists in sectors such as tourism, renewable energy sources, technology, health, real estate, telecommunications, research and innovation, and education, while a series of tax incentives are also provided for the growing startup industry. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the government, I would like to emphasize that we remain committed so that Cyprus remains firmly on a path of sustainable growth and will continue facilitating investments and economic opportunities. To this end, we shall continue our policies of A, maintaining sound public finances. Second, preserving and enriching our competitive tax and legal framework and reinforcing our position as a business-friendly economic and investment destination through, on the one hand, promoting further substantial reforms and in particular via fully reforming the public service so as to facilitate growth in modern, knowledge-based, scientific, high-tech and innovative economy. And, on the other hand, adapting new specific incentives in order to enrich and diversify Cyprus' economy, such as a tax incentives sectors I was always talking about, such as tax incentives package for investments to innovative companies, a new international law to fast track, excuse me, it's not an international, it's an investment law. We wish to be an international, but what is there, yes, is to see that we are implementing such reforms in our own country. So coming back saying that the incentives package for investments to innovative companies, a new investment law to fast-track licensing procedures for large investments, an enhanced investment funds framework, as well as a comprehensive package for the development and promotion of the filming industry. Third, investing in our human capital through supporting higher education, research, and innovation. Distinguished friends, please allow me to single out the cooperation in the field of energy. As I have stated many times in the past, we warmly welcome and express our deep appreciation for the presence and involvement of American companies, Noble, and now through the energy giant ExxonMobil in Cyprus' exclusive economic zones for the exploration of hydrocarbon reserves. These thus not only mark a new chapter in our bilateral relations, but it is also a tangible sign of trust to the reliable, predictable and stabilizing role we have assumed in our volatile neighborhood. To this end, the very recent signing of the intergovernmental agreement with Egypt as regards the exploitation of apartheid and transferring gas from Cyprus to Egypt constitutes a very important and promising development to our efforts to substantially contribute to enhancing energy security for our region. The above mentioned should be viewed in conjunction with the efforts to develop the Eastern gas pipeline, which will transfer gas from Israel and Cyprus to Greece and Italy, and consequently the European Union, serving our joint vision of transforming the Eastern Mediterranean into an energy hub that would contribute to the region's stability through, among others, the diversification of energy sources and routes. Distinguished friends, taking the opportunity of the presence of my dearest friend, Matthew Palmer, Deputy Assistant Secretary of the US Secretary of State, I wish to convey in the strongest manner that my top priority remains, my dearest friend Matthew, none other than addressing the unacceptable current state of affairs with the continuing Turkish occupation of 37% of the territory of the Republic of Cyprus. What is of course required is to create those necessary conditions that will allow the dialogue to resume on the basis of goodwill and a constructive stance from all stakeholders, particularly by Turkish side, in order to safeguard the positive outcome of the negotiations. The above mentioned were reiterated at today's fruitful meeting with the UN Secretary General, during which I also stressed that I remain sincerely committed to negotiate a solution within the framework set by His Excellency, as clarified on July 4, 2017, with the same determination and positive attitude we have demonstrated since the beginning of the dialogue. Within this context, I hope that the meetings that he held with the Turkish side and the meeting with the leader of the Turkish Cypriot side will allow him to be in a position to resume negotiations, since there is no doubt that lasting peace and stability can only be achieved through the comprehensive settlement of the Cyprus problem. I avail myself of this opportunity, dearest Palmer, to express my sincere appreciation for your country's principled stance on the Cyprus problem and your unwavering support to our efforts in reaching a lasting and comprehensive settlement. In this respect, it is my strong belief that the United States, as a permanent member of the Security Council, has an essential role to assume when the negotiations resume, particularly in relation to the external dimensions of the Cyprus problem and the need to reach a viable and functional settlement that will reunite Cyprus as a model, truly independent and sovereign state, free of any third country's dependencies. At the same time, it is of vital importance that the United States exerts all its influence to convey clear messages to Turkey on the need to refrain from any future actions which will negatively affect the prospect of resuming negotiations. Ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, in concluding, I would like to once more extend my deepest appreciations to the organizers of the forum and to all of you, the investors, for your ongoing trust, your positive contribution, and your strong support. My government stands ready to offer any assistance deemed necessary in order to facilitate your business plans and investment initiatives that would enhance competitiveness, development, and sustainable growth in Cyprus. Thank you.
Mr. President, thank you very much for a particularly insightful set of remarks that delineate not only the progress achieved, but also the positive dimension of what lies ahead. Thank you. And now it is my pleasure to ask Mr. Michalis Michael, who is the chairman of the Cyprus Investment Promotion Agency, to come to the podium and introduce Mr. Matthew Palmer to you. Thank you.
Your Excellency, dear friends, it is my privilege to introduce to you Matthew Palmer. He's a member of the Senior Foreign Service class of Counselor and serves currently as Deputy Assistant Secretary in the Bureau of European and Eurasian Affairs, with responsibility for the Western Balkans and the Aegean. Previously, he was a director of the Office of South Central Europe Earlier tours included Belgrade, Nicosia, the U.S. mission to the United Nations, and various positions in Washington, including on the Secretary's Policy Planning staff and at the National Security Council. Matt is the author of a series of novels published by Penguin Random House featuring American diplomats as protagonists, 3 of which were selected by National Public Radio as being among the best books of their respective years. Matt is a distinguished graduate of the National War College and a member of the Council of Foreign Relations. He speaks Serbian, Greek, and Japanese. Matthew, καλώς όρισες. Please come forward.
Violating one of my cardinal rules, which is never to speak after President Anastasiades. It's a tough comparison. But Mr. President, thank you very much, and thank you for the warm welcome. Ministers, ambassadors, honored guests, good afternoon. It's a great honor to address you today. And I want to extend my thanks to the organizers of Capital Link and your President, Nicos, especially for the opportunity to speak about U.S.-Cyprus relations and how we can work together to attract greater investment for the benefit of the Cypriot and the American people. We're lucky to be joined by several prominent ministers, business leaders, experts, and chiefs of industry today, who I hope will add to the conversation. For those of you who attended last year's forum and had the benefit of hearing from my colleague, Jonathan Cohen, my message today will sound familiar. Cyprus is open for business. It is, of course, a great joy for me to be here speaking with you. As many of you know, I believe, Cyprus is near and dear to my heart. I have the great privilege of serving in Cyprus. I'm very pleased to be working with many of you again. My daughter, Zoe, was born when we were living in Cyprus. Let me begin today, if I may, by stating the obvious. Deepening trade and investment ties give rise to new opportunities and more intense economic engagement. And Cyprus remains an island of unrealized potential. There is no question that there is a great deal of excitement about Cyprus's hydrocarbon potential, and there is a lot to be said on this topic. A lot has been said already this morning. The discoveries in the Eastern Mediterranean are important. They can interconnect and integrate the region. They can improve energy security and lead to increased economic and political cooperation. The resulting prosperity can strengthen democracy and bring much needed political and economic stability to the Eastern Mediterranean. In this regard, the United States has consistently reiterated its support for the Republic of Cyprus's right to develop resources in an exclusive economic zone. At the same time, we have noted that we continue to believe the island's oil and gas resources, like all its resources, should be equitably shared between both communities in the context of an overall settlement. American companies are doing their part to promote Cyprus as an investment destination and play an essential role in building closer commercial ties. U.S. companies are increasingly present in such sectors as energy, insurance, financial services, franchising, and tourism. They are creating jobs and opportunities. According to the Department of Commerce, outward U.S. direct investment in Cyprus in 2016 was $1.6 billion. Of course, you already know that in the energy sector, U.S. companies have played a catalytic role in developing Cyprus's offshore reserves. U.S. investment in recent years has also focused on services such as finance and insurance, management consulting, real estate, professional scientific and technology, IT consulting, and wholesale trade. Over the next few years, Cyprus is poised to attract additional investment in the field of offshore energy exploration and infrastructure. Why do U.S. investors choose Cyprus? Quite simply, a liberal investment climate, skilled workforce, and comparatively low labor costs make it an especially attractive destination. The enhanced commercial relationship is good for U.S. businesses. American companies have developed export markets in machinery, electronics, instruments, and transportation. Continued economic recovery in Cyprus will only create more opportunities for American exports in the future. 5 years have elapsed since the 2013 bailout and subsequent austerity measures. Cyprus has emerged stronger, leaner, and prepared to emerge as a thriving regional economic hub. With political stability also comes greater opportunity. I alluded to this earlier, but it's clear that a just and lasting settlement of the long-standing Cyprus problem would greatly facilitate the development of resources and would help ensure that they benefit all Cypriots. As for the U.S. government, we remain strong in our support for a bizonal, bi-communal federation. In conclusion, and I was told by a mentor of mine that when giving a speech, one should always say in conclusion. It gives the audience hope. Looking at the broader region, we see the Republic of Cyprus as an important partner. The United States is working at building a stronger political relationship with the Republic of Cyprus. Cyprus has enjoyed several high-profile visits from top U.S. officials, including from the Departments of State, Treasury, and Defense over the last year. And I would be deeply remiss if I did not take note of our strong bilateral cooperation in the areas of counterterrorism, non-proliferation, and maritime and border security. For example, earlier this year, we donated $163,000 in equipment for Cyprus to inspect and interdict illicit trafficking in weapons of mass destruction-related materials. And in 2 weeks, we plan to train 36 maritime police officers to improve security in the Eastern Mediterranean. We continue to look for other mutually beneficial ways to enhance cooperation. Those of you who are paying careful attention may have noticed that although I said in conclusion, I've not actually concluded yet. I'll come to it. Among those opportunities for enhanced cooperation include deepening people-to-people connections. We have sent young Cypriots to global forums on entrepreneurship. We organize a summer program that brings Cypriot high school students to Washington, D.C. to learn leadership skills. This spring, we brought to Cyprus students from Georgia Tech, one of the leading science and technology universities in the United States, and my 17-year-old son's #1 choice as he's applying to college right now. Wish him luck. We are also blessed with a strong Hellenic American diaspora, many of whom are here today. Do not underestimate the important role that you play in building bridges and strengthening ties. Now I will conclude my remarks. As I came in, Cyprus is open for business. Take a very good look at the opportunities Cyprus presents. Capitalize on an opportunity and an environment in which to innovate and be at the forefront of developing Cyprus as a regional trade hub. Bring investment to her shores. In equal measure, call on leaders to seize the opportunity to realize their shared vision for reunification. We're in this together, and together we will chart a more prosperous future for the benefit of all Cypriots. Thank you very much.